Hey, this is DJ from DJ's Trains on YouTube, and before we go into the tutorial, I'll show you a little bit about all the fun stuff I've been doing this summer. Talked into, actually.
Hey, this is DJ from DJ's Trains, and I think I'm gonna die! Don't let me die! Anyway, hope you enjoy this video!
Universal Road goes over top of the Union Railroad tracks in Penn Hills, Pennsylvania. And I like to use both Google Maps, also Bing, this way I get a good bird's eye view. But sometimes, if you get the opportunity, I like to go out and film it in person and take pictures in person. Unfortunately, I picked like the worst weather day to go out there. Didn't have much choice. Now I'm just going to do the bridge in this video. All the surrounding landscape I'll worry about in another video. So looking from the top part, the concrete barriers, it's a single track, or a single lane road. And looking over the single track, and if you wonder why it's purple, yeah, look closely. That's a purple looking railroad track. You know why? It's because it's mostly iron ore that goes on this line now. Oh, and as iron ore pellets spill, it makes the track turn purple. So of course it starts pouring down rain as soon as I get close. So sorry about the jog here. So I made a beeline for underneath the bridge. Okay, so I had to run and get under there before I got soaked. Also, I could hear a southbound Union Railroad train coming, so I wanted to make sure I got in position for that. Now, let's take a look at underneath. It's just real simple columns of concrete and some steel girders. Nothing too fancy, so mine's going to be pretty easy to make. I will do the concrete that the bridge is sitting on, but I'm not going to do it like any of the graffiti because that stuff's more recent and I'm modeling in the 80s. Pretty simple design. I figured the road's probably about 24 feet wide. That was my guess. Okay, but what I wanted to do is I used my scale ruler and I made a 26-foot wide base for it. You got to get a scale ruler. So here's like the three basic pieces that I made. The widest being 26, and then I just kind of improvised for the sides. Glued it together, and then just made a piece for on top. This is just real simple, basic styrene. I'm not going to go into all the details. It's just styrene 101. I had a little drill thing. I drilled 3 drainage holes. To paint, I just simply used acrylic. I used white, khaki tan, and some brown. Nothing fancy. The bridge itself, I measured out to be 6.5 inches. So I used both Plastruct and Evergreen Styrene. If you look closely, this is the different sizes that I use. Remember, I'm doing this in N scale. Remember, I made this 6.5 inches long, and I did 24 scale inches wide. And then I made the steel beams underneath it just a little bit shorter. I made 4 long beams to go across, but if you look closely, I had to notch out the ends so that it would butt together better. And here's it with just the 2 outside ones. Okay, once I had all 4 beams installed, I took it to the layout, flipped it over, and marked with a felt pen where the beams would go, where it wouldn't interfere with the track. I did have to notch out the scenery a little bit. Okay, now I wanted to make the concrete barriers on the side. A new way I came up with to make my own barriers is to take one of the I-beams, which is pretty good height, and just cut the top off really carefully using that edge and just cutting it down. And I did the whole thing, a whole strip, and then I cut it into little pieces. Then I just glued the pieces onto the bridge. So now I take the bridge over to the layout and I position it, and I have to figure out how tall am I going to make my concrete piers. And I made 4 concrete piers using that thick styrene square that I got. And then I went through my junk drawer and I found some perfect X's from, it was a leftover piece from that New Rivers mining. You'd be surprised if you don't use all your pieces and kits, you'll have some great stuff to use later on. So here's how it looks with the 4 beams and with the X bracing. Just kind of improvised. And now it's ready for the paint. I took it outside and primed it with Krylon Color Master Primer. I like this flat gray. I'm really having problems lately with Rust-Oleum spray cans. The nozzles are clogging all the time, so I switched over to Krylon. Now painting. I took it inside and I used acrylic. I used the white, khaki tan, and linen. I'm no longer using the Polyscale concrete because that brand's being discontinued. Also, I'm using ivy to color the beams. The fact that I primed it good, I think that's the reason why the paint's sticking to it really well now. So I painted the beams with the ivy color. And then basically I just used a little bit more of the white to streak it. There were some spots I think I had just a little bit of just regular brown just to kind of dirty it up a little bit. And then I masked it and did a yellow stripe down the middle for the road. And I think this looks pretty good. So I had some N-scale ladder. And what I did was I cut the ends off of both sides. I painted it gray. And then just glued it onto the sidewalk portion of the bridge. And you got a nice railing. I added a figure to it. And when you put some cars on this, it looks just like the real bridge. So pretty soon I'm going to use some Sculptamold and I'll build up the road around it and the surrounding scenery. In the meantime, subscribe to my channel under DJ's Trains. Email me at djstrains@yahoo.com. And that's it. Here's a video of the railroad that I got soaked just so you can enjoy.